Educational live disclaimer, educational fair use notice. The material shown and discussed in this stream is used for nonprofit educational purposes under Section 107 of the U.S. Copyright Act, which allows fair use for teaching, scholarship, and research. Any third party video, audio, images, and text are presented to illustrate concepts, support learning, and encourage critical analysis, and are not a substitute for the original works. Now, any third party content, all copyrights remain with the original creators. No copyright infringement is intended. Right holders who have concerns are encouraged to contact directly so I can review, edit, or remove material as needed. Top of King. How you doing there, sir? How you doing on a
Yeah,
good one?
what up? What's going on? I say peace and benedictions. You know what I mean?
Salute and greetings. What we doing here is we got
Yeah.
dialogue with black filmmakers. What the series was. Want to go into a little bit of this history that we got going on. Um, Rest in power to the late great Mr. Alex Haley. Back in 1992, um, what I was going back through,
47.
I had to go check
Yeah.
it. Go ahead.
I just
As I
no, I
was
was just
saying,
ad libbing 40 second. I was just
right,
ad libbing 40 second dead here. You know what I mean?
right. Before he died in 1992, Alex Haley sat down with filmmakers who were changing the game. Spike Lee, John Singleton, Julie Dash, Robert Townsend, Gordon Parks. 15 conversations, never seen in full until now. This February, Open ENT presents Dialogue with Black Filmmakers, the complete series. One episode every night, February 10th through the 25th, honoring our elders, honoring our ancestors, honoring the voices that made us who we are. Dialogue with Black Filmmakers, only on Pope and ENT and Red Pill Rescue, SF Baby. Now, the beginning here, I was doing a little history lessons on how this series came about. And it said what the series was because I had to do some little research on it. It said what the series was according to them, Dialogue with Black Filmmakers was a half-hour television series built around the studio interviews in which Mr. Alex Haley discussed craft, representation, and industry politics with contemporary Black film artists. The show was described as short-lived, which is interesting to say the least. Um, in it, it says having aired not long before he died in 1992, which actually brings about quite a few questions that we're going to seem to address in this dialogue. Um, the contemporary references in my research shows that the TV listings evidence indicate that it ran on BET sometime in the schedule, and that in itself we have yet to see because first of all, I'm pretty good at math. And one of the things that I wanted to do is I wanted to show that, let's see, Mr. Alex Haley passed away February 10th, 1992. Now, according to, let's see, oh, that's the background. Let's see here. Let me add this here. According to this here, says the date taped was January 14th, 1992. Okay. This is the episode 13. And with Miss Nima
You
Barnett,
bet.
Miss Julie Death. Now,
Mhm.
that kind of time wise, that kind of works out. But then when I came across the dialogue of black filmmakers on the tapes themselves, it said it actually had a publishing date, which is we look right here in this little corner right here. Looks like it says February 18th, 1992. Now, if in fact BET aired this, it would have happened to have been after his passing, which would kind of look like they was milking the airing of it, and it would have brought a little more light. I was alive in '92, and I don't remember seeing it. Now, episode 1 goes into. We're going to start off with Miss Suzanne DePayas, even though her name is spelled DePasse. Respectfully, I say DePayas because Mr. Alex Haley said DePayas, and she seemed to recognize that. So I did a little background on her. She was born in Harlem, New York, family roots, and it's quite a few things. What I want to do is I want to start with the intro, and then we can get into from the intro. We're gonna get into let her tell her story and see what she's gonna tell us how she came about. Let's see here. Here's the intro.
Not quite standing still, but we still have a long way to go, Alex. So we're not quite standing still, but we still have a long way to go, Alex.
There is a renaissance going on, but we have to control it. And if we don't... So right now it's a great...
Learn how to get better before you worry about getting old.
I think that the artist really has to be true to himself.
You're right. You might gotta pause. You gotta pause the music
What?
so you can play the video. That's just probably making it choppy.
Say it again.
Pause the music so you can play the video. I said pause the music so you can play the video. It's probably making it choppy. You know what I mean?
All right.
You know, it's the bandwidth bedlam. You know what I mean?
It looks like we struggled. Is that part? You hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's when we pause.
The struggle stream, the bandwidth bedlam. You know.
Right. But we're gonna work through the. You know, it's not the first time that we didn't have to work through some of these things. But part of what I wanted to talk about that before we even get started was the number. Let's remove this here. I wanted to talk about the number of episodes that exist because according to online, they got I seen partials of Spike Lee, seen partials of John Singleton coming in at 21 minutes, and Robert Townsend at 21 minutes, Matty Rich, Quincy Jones. And as I'm looking at these, I start noticing that each one of these episodes is almost 30 minutes long. Each one of these that has been posted purposely is missing 6 minutes here, 6 minutes, 6 minutes. And I guess along there, you may get a chance to see what these 6 minutes are missing. So like I said, we're starting off with Miss Susan DePayas. And I want to hear what she had to say that was going on with Hollywood during this time back in 1992 that that made these disappear, that we weren't able to actually get a chance to check them out. So let's see what she had to say.
Drop off. So we're not quite standing still, but we still have a long way to go, Alex.
In fact, the experiences that I had growing up.
There is a renaissance going on, but we have to control it. And if we don't, in Atlanta, so right now, it's a great.
Learn how to get better before you worry about getting over it.
I think that the artist really has to be true to himself.
Welcome to a dialogue with black filmmakers. And now, here's our host, Alex Haley.
Suzanne DePayas, president of DePayas Entertainment, has never allowed her life or her work to be dictated by traditional female boundaries. She began her career with Motown in 1968 and has since worked in talent acquisition, signing such notable artists as Michael Jackson and Lionel Richie. She has served as writer, producer, and executive producer, most notably of the critically acclaimed television miniseries Lonesome Dove. Today, she manages her own production company. Hello, I'm Alex Haley. Welcome to Dialogue with Black Filmmakers. With me today, the dynamic, multi-talented, and needless to say, lovely Suzanne DePayas. You know, we obviously here for me to ask you some questions, but I kind of have to comment as I did when you came in the door. I just can hardly believe how you always look like that all the time. No, it's the truth. You do.
Thank you.
And the other thing I have to say is how Syracuse University boasts about you as if you were on top of the highest pinnacle in town. It's beautiful.
You know, that is quite amazing because when I went to college, when I went to Syracuse, that was the last place I should have been. I wasn't college ready in my mental state at the time. And I'm as close to having flunked out of Syracuse as anybody could be. Mm-hmm. And when they called me and said that they wanted to give me the Chancellor's Award, I thought they had a wrong number. And they said, no, you were here and you are a valued alumna of our institution. And I was going, okay, fine.
Yeah, but, well, you sure are. You
just don't go to the files.
That's right. That's right. Well, you started, I think it was in 1968 with Motown and Berry Gordy. Mm-hmm. Could you tell us a little bit about the structure of the organization at that time? Mm-hmm. How was it?
Well, me coming into Motown in 1968 was a little bit like Dorothy landing in the Land of Oz. I mean, I was from New York City and was transplanted to Detroit to this company that had for the previous few years become kind of the the center for all the good music as far as I was concerned and my friends. And so that I had actually been tapped to come to work in Oz, was extraordinary, because at the time that I went to work at Motown, I had been the talent coordinator of a dance club in New York City. And by changing locales from kind of this very sophisticated New York scene to this Midwestern sort of quiet, sleepy town of Detroit, they used to pull the sidewalks in at 9 o'clock at night, and I was used to staying up till 6 o'clock in the morning. And that change really had me very focused on work, because there was really nothing else to do. But the company itself, it was the first time I had ever been anywhere where black people were in charge. And not only in charge, but owned it. And I began to feel this incredible sense of pride and commitment, because I was getting to work someplace that was all about us, And as hard as it was, and it was hard, it was miserable. I must have cried every day for the first 10 years. Because in addition to being somewhat ignorant and unseasoned and unskilled in what I was doing, I made mistakes, and they were the tears of frustration, but I really wanted to succeed, and I was just a wreck and trying to learn the structure of the company. I got to work in every sort of aspect of it. Berry Gordy, I was his creative assistant. I was hired as that, but in order for me to be a good creative assistant, I had to learn quality control, and I had to learn A&R, and I had to learn, artist development, so I got to work in every aspect of the company, and it was really so exciting, because in the late 60s, so much was going on in our culture and in our country that made being at Motown something so unique. I think in terms of this great sense of hope that we all had, and optimism, and a sense that we could win and that we were making a difference. And sort of every day that I went to work, I had this feeling that I was a part of creating history, and that I was working with and for people that were changing the world, and they were,
That's very true.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, Berry, I have the fortune to know him, as you know, and I, like you, just regard him as virtually an icon in what he did and from where he did it. And I wonder if you would share, how did you first meet this man? What was your initial thing? I know that the story of him and Edna, his secretary, always pleased me so much to know how they got together. How did you and he get together?
Well, actually, at the time I was working in New York, my good friend, Cindy Birdsong, was asked to join the Supremes. She had been with Patti LaBelle and the Bluebells, and she was asked to join the Supremes. And she asked me if I thought that was a good idea, and I said, "Fool, are you kidding? Of course you join Motown, you go with the Supremes." And so when they would travel to New York, she would call me when she was a member of the Supremes, and I would take her to dinner. We'd, celebrate her good fortune in some way. And the first time that I met Berry Gordy, I had rented a limousine because I was sick of being humiliated trying to hail a taxi in Midtown Manhattan when I had important things to do. And rather than try to fix the system, I tried to make the system at least palatable. I tried to be able to deal with it. And so I would rent limousines that I could ill afford for $16 an hour. And this one day I was picking Cindy up outside the Ed Sullivan Theater. And I was primly sitting in the backseat of the limo waiting for her to be finished with rehearsal at the stage door. And sure enough, she comes out and says that Berry Gordy's car has gone on an errand, and he has an important appointment. And would I be willing to give him a lift, a ride? And I have often said that that's the ride that lasted 24 years.
We'll be right back after this.
Man. Interesting. So far. What you think, good brother? As I'm here taking notes, learning about our past.
What's going on in that ride with Berry Gordy? I wonder what was going on in that ride with Berry Gordy. That's what.
Yes. Well,
You know
she said she was.
What y'all was doing up in that limousine.
Yeah, well, she said she was how old? Under, well, according to her age, hopefully nothing too crazy. And I do know that she was about to say, in there, let's see, her history back then, 1968. That was the time when obviously there was a lot of things going on during that time. Wow, Martin Luther King. Let's see, all the assassinations, riots, and things. I did notice that she was talking about that they had a sense of hope. I guess when you inside of it, I mean, as we look back on it now, I see that financially, all the people that were involved with that situation, what do they have now to show for it? You know, looking back on it, they had opportunities then. They were all thinking that they were going to get somewhere, make a way, make a change, make a difference. That was in the beginning, starting off. She said she started off as a creative assistant, A&R. I wonder what A&R was like back then, because, you know, trying to develop talent, like, what did you have to do? Be able to, wow, sing, dance. It was the 60s and things, a whole lot different. Here, let's see what they got going here. Let's see what she said on part 2. That, Now back to the future. Yes, Back to the Future during those times. See, we first did this, what was it, 2021?
Dialogue with Black Filmmakers now continues.
And you offered a ride to Berry Gordy.
Mm-hmm.
That changed your life.
It sure did.
Yeah.
And I think he was a little bit taken back because, you know, what was this 19-year-old girl doing in this limousine?
Lovely girl.
Well, I don't know. You know, I think he thought I was a hooker, to tell you the truth. But he asked me if I was a go-go dancer, and I was very offended. And I said, "Oh no, I'm the talent coordinator of the Cheetah Club." You know.
Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, very nice," you know, and sort of humored me. But eventually, I came to know Berry and all of the people a lot better, and was asked to come to work in the company in 1968. But we met in '67.
Yeah. I love those stories about just human stories that change lives, you know. Yeah. You know, I'd like to ask you about something I love. I can sit here and hear the strains of it in my ear. Lady Sings the Blues. Tell us about your involvement in that.
Well, you know, again, the fact that I was involved at Motown in those early days, and actually I feel like I came to Motown at the end of the beginning, but we were in Hollywood. We had moved from Detroit to Hollywood, and Berry Gordy was approached for Diana Ross to star in Lady Sings the Blues. And one day someone handed me a script and said, "Mr. Gordy would like you to read this right away and give him your comments." And I read it, and I was really kind of taken aback because I felt it was very, very cliched, and the writer hadn't really captured not only the essence of what I thought Billie Holiday was about, but had really put some very, I felt, insulting kinds of images and dialogue and all that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. So I fired up this, you know, bunch of notes that were just page by page, sentence by sentence. And Berry looked at me and said, and of course he was definitely Mr. Gordy in those days, he said, "You think you can do any better?" And I said, "Well, I don't know if I can do any better, but I know what's wrong with it." He said, "Well, give it a try. You write what you think ought to be there." And I couldn't believe it exactly, but you see, in those days, if you were in the room, you could get assigned almost anything, you know.
Yeah.
So I went off and eventually Barry put me together with one of the singers on the label who happened to be a writer as well, Chris Clark, and she and I rewrote the script together with Sidney Furie, the director, and all that sort of thing. So I got to not only write the script, first thing I had ever done. We were nominated for an Academy Award for the screenplay, along with the other nominations. Diana Ross got one, and the costumes and the music and art direction. But suddenly I was, you know, this novice, this baby in Hollywood, walking around with an Academy Award nomination because Berry Gordy didn't believe that the rules of anything, you know, that kept people with a good idea out of the game, you know, mattered. So he gave us all a shot to do extraordinary things.
You know, it leads into a thing. Now you are top of the heap, as say, for black women executives in film. You're it.
Yeah, but what does that mean, Alan? Top of what heap?
Well, that's right. Well, that's what. Well, no.
The heap is like
it's
a molehill.
Good heap, but if you're at the top of it. But what would you say has been? Have you had problems that you feel were due to race that you feel you might not have had otherwise, or is this something that women in general have as executives in the film business?
Well, yeah, this is like a 4-hour miniseries answer here because, in point of fact, I had the benefit of working in a company where I did not have to apologize for being black.
Yes, that's true.
This was something that I did not really appreciate fully until I got more involved in television and film and kind of left the music business, which we know had much more sort of a greater mixture of races doing different things. I mean, the harder part for me has been being a woman, because at the time I was coming along, women, particularly black women, were understood to be able to sing and dance and entertain, along with serve and wash and iron the shirts of the people that I was now going in to talk to. And so they hadn't had a lot of experience dealing with someone like me.
We'll be right back after this.
Wow. That's yeah, I see that. In that. Well, that was at 19. She said she was a talent coordinator for the Cheetah Club. Let's see. Lady Sings the Blues.
It's great. It's work when somebody don't take you seriously, and it's like you said, like, you know, she's expected to iron the shirts and clean up after the people who she's trying to interview and work with. You know, and that's how they see her. Like we don't take you seriously because you're a woman. You know. Right.
It's crazy. And thinking that. Right. And it's crazy, like how, you know, it's ill that Berry Gordy gave her an opportunity. And like, I've worked at a place where, you know, I may have started as, you know, the associate project manager, but ended up getting into the construction side of things or being the safety person and so on and so forth, and getting into that realm, you know, just based on, you know, the giving a person a shot more so than how you put together in there. So that's good that he was giving people opportunities, and especially like when she was on there with Lady Sings the Blues, because that's a big piece, especially with Diana Ross. Let's see here, we got, you know, especially being able to edit, because, you know, I can tell that, you know, how they got white writers and putting those things together, and they want to write how they think that they want the story to be during those days. And she gave a lot of shout outs to the individuals that were a part of that. That was nice. Now, let's see. We got part 3. That's going to put us in. Let's see here what she got.
Dialogue with Black Filmmakers now continues.
Let's complete the thing you were telling us about the business of whether or not the ethnic aspect has been a problem to you.
Well, you know, I have been blessed as an individual with a really strong base to operate from. You know, having the mantle of Motown, Berry Gordy, while I was figuring out what I was going to do with myself and how to, you know, winnow my way through the real difficult channels that Hollywood offers you. But my experience still has been as a Black woman, you know, and I have watched in horror and have had to deal with attitudes and insults and slights and asides on the one hand, and on the other hand, I think it's been a great asset from time to time. And what I've come to is that it reminds me of the opening scene in Lawrence of Arabia when he holds his hand over the flame and the key is in not minding. Well, I mind a lot that it is this way.
Yes.
But in order to get the job done, you have to pretend the flame doesn't burn.
And go.
And go.
You were the executive producer of the award-winning Lonesome Dove. How did that come about?
Well, actually, I met Larry McMurtry, the author of Lonesome Dove, in a social situation, asked him, did he have anything that hadn't been produced because he'd had so many award-winning films. And he said, well, yeah, I've got this Western, but you probably wouldn't be interested in it. And I said, no, I love Westerns, which is true. I've always ridden horses and been interested in the West and the outdoors, and read the book, acquired the rights to the book, and eventually got it set up as a miniseries, which the 4 years that I was involved in that project probably taught me more about everything than any other single project has ever done, because everything that could go wrong practically did. And
for instance, now what's
well, mistakes are always your best teachers, you know, but we had an amazing schedule that we had to deal with. I was very fortunate in being able to hire great people, and in hindsight, it all seems that it turned out right, so I can't remember any of the, you know, the early things that went wrong, but just everything was a fight. Convincing the network, convincing the stars, convincing this one, convincing that one, and finishing it. And until it's a hit, nobody knows what it is, you know, and so you have to suffer the slings and arrows of everybody's, you know, preconceived notions. And we were perceived as a failure before we were on the air.
Same happened, if I said, with Roots before we went on.
Right.
In fact, I understand that the reason it was shown in 6 consecutive nights was to get rid of it fast. You know, the plan originally had been to show a 2-hour segment each week for 6 weeks. And then the perception was it was going to fail. And it's funny how things work out that way.
It is funny, but you know, I always feel about this that unless, if someone knew exactly what was right, everybody would have hits, you know.
Of course.
You have to do what you think is best.
You see this thing where great brains, particularly in television, motion pictures as well, and then they'll try something else and it goes right down, you know, just one after another.
That's right. Nobody knows
Nobody
anything.
knows. That's the answer. That's true.
Just have to do your best and believe in what you believe in.
We'll be right back after this.
Man, that's a lot there. Yeah, how you're saying that you got to pretend that it don't hurt, or that you don't see things in it. She did take on that Western. I never watched Lonesome Dove, but I heard it was a big hit. It really got her recognition from and whole other circles from there. One of the things in there that I noticed is that when she's talking about the about Roots, when Mr. Haley talking about Roots shown in 6 consecutive nights. That's how they felt that they wanted to show it, instead of 2 hours for 6 weeks, as it should have been intended. They wanted to rush through it, and imagine playing it for 6 nights straight, and the folks that wasn't able to tune in, and like how you said, they wanted to hurry up and get rid of it. Craziness. That's out of character. Man. Now we got part 4 to get through. Let's see here. And see, this probably gonna be the wrap up. Let me see.
Dialogue with Black filmmakers now continues.
We have, I'm told, 2 minutes, and I'd like to ask you if you could give some sort of a brief response to how do you respond to critics who say that African American filmmakers should be doing African American projects?
Well, I agree with them. My own experience has been, however, that it has been the projects that are not perceived as African American projects that have really given me the license to do African American projects, because I think people were so shocked that a black woman was responsible for Lonesome Dove that the doors that flew open after that, and suddenly people were ready to listen to Johnny Spain and Elaine Brown and my Frederick Douglass project and all of the things that are passion projects to me.
That's right.
And also, it paid the bills, you know.
That's right.
And no one
important.
says anything when Norman Jewison does a soldier story, or Marcy Carsey and Tom do Bill Cosby. You know, I think the doors should swing both ways.
That's right. Well, now let's get to the thing I just heard here lately. It is a fact, I gather, that now it is DePass Productions or DePass Entertainment as of the 1st of January.
1st of January, 1992, Berry Gordy made it possible for me to have my own company. And it's amazing. For our 24th anniversary.
Isn't that fantastic? When you see him next, hug him for me, too.
I will. I will.
Please?
He has been great to me.
Yeah, he really is.
And to many people.
That's right. Do you have any advice, we have seconds, for young people who want to aspire to what you do?
Well, I hope they would aspire to beyond what I do and to be able to greenlight projects and own studios. But my 2 key words in life are patience and persistence.
We've been sharing the life and the work of the filmmaker and executive Suzanne DePass. It's safe to say she is a rare breed. In a business dominated by males, Suzanne has flourished despite her sex. In an industry notorious for its revolving doors, she's been identified with one company, Motown, for more than 20 years. At the helm of her new DePass Entertainment, Suzanne will, no doubt, continue to expand and enrich her career and our lives with her marvelous work. This has been Dialogue with Black Filmmakers. I'm Alex Haley, and we thank you for joining us.
Man. Yep. Well, that in itself
makes me think.
Amazing.
You know, that makes me think about. Strangely enough, that makes me think about the Tubi movies, right? You know, you see a lot of the crazy skits on social media. You know, showcasing some of the most craziest concepts and scenes in movie history. You know, black people pushing the envelope. You know, in these Tubi movies. You know, and it's like I be thinking, like, what's going through their mind when they reading the script, and who came up with this script anyway? You know.
Yeah.
So like when you hear this sister talk about, you know, having to ignore some of the, you know, messed up things that she's seen, you know, and trying to clean up, you know, and start, you know, cussing it a little bit, you know. But you know, when you think about some of the messed up things that she's seen, you know, in the industry, and having to kind of like put blinders on, you know, to get, you know, to get through this glass ceiling, so to speak. You know what I mean? It's like I can see how a lot of like, you know, filmmakers can look and see like, damn, like it's almost like this like civil rights like type of vibe. Like, yo, like we did a lot for y'all to be coming up and doing like this coonery and buffoonery and, you know, all this nonsense. And it's like, damn, like, you know, it's in my opinion, it's disrespectful, you know, because like these people, they dealt with all kind of prejudice, you know, all kind of disrespect, you know, people not taking them seriously, like, you know, just like, you know, with people having like almost like an obligation to like make it seem like they being inclusive, you know. So that's where you have this concept of, you know, well, what they experiencing rather is that these people, you know, giving off this energy like, yo, let's just get through it. Like we know this is gonna flop. Like we're gonna present it to say that we presented it, but it, you know, is really just rubbish. You know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
and
like so to fight through all of that for us to be like, for us to be at movie status, it's like, come on, man, you got to have more integrity than that. You know what I mean?
Right.
When, you know, when you're thinking about being a filmmaker or actor, you know, like just like I was like Khalid Muhammad said, for a black person, everywhere is the battlefield. You know, so even when you're a movie film director or you're a filmmaker or actor or whatever, you know, you have a moral obligation to represent yourself and your people, you know, in a way that we need to be. And that's what black filmmaking is about controlling, you know, your how you're being portrayed, narrative. You know, controlling the narrative, you know, just like how you said about not letting somebody tell you a story, like, you know, we 42 minutes in, you know, and you know, of course, it's the 42nd day of the year, you know. I'm gonna just leave it at that, you know. But we can get to some of that later, maybe, or something.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Yeah, and in that, you know, and Veggie backing off of that, you know, the Frederick Douglass project. I want to hear more about that she did. I mean, it's cool that she did the Payas Entertainment. She did pave the way for a lot of our elders. And the new folks that's coming through. One thing that I did not want to do is I did not want it to be in vain. And during the time, you know, the doors that were open and how these things came about, you know, there's a few things that we weren't able to be able to catch up on. I mean, just even showing that. So what we're gonna do is for the next 14 nights, because 15 in the series, the next 14 nights we're going to go through, we're going to show each episode and see what we felt that our elders, and some of our elders are ancestors now. So we want to go through, we want to see what they was trying to tell us, see if we get the message and see if we can get the message. Because one thing that I do know is the only way that we're going to make it is together, because by ourselves wasn't cost effective. And in that, one of the things that I want to do is we're going to go ahead and wrap it up, because coming up next, we got a long stream about a whole lot of Black history and a whole lot of current events. Really appreciate your time. Thank you for spending it with us. You could be anywhere in the world. Now, this is Dialogue with Black Filmmakers live. Rest in peace, Alex Haley. And we're about to be out. Appreciate your time. Share if you care. Share if you don't care. Somebody cares enough for the both of us.
No doubt. And when you come across vital information, it's your obligation to share it with the nation. You know what I mean? You know, it's better to know something than to believe it. Truth is undefeated. With that said, Ashe, peace, and benedictions. We out, man.
Peace.
To the next one.